I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
So which one of you is ready to go to Mars? Are you ready? And I think you're ready. I know you're ready, right? We just discussed that. She'd like to go to Mars very quickly. Who's ready to go to Mars up there?
We are absolutely ready to go to Mars.
Who's ready to go to Mars up there?
We are absolutely ready to go to Mars.
Well, we want to try and do it during my first term, or at worst during my second term, so we'll have to speed that up a little bit, okay? A little bit, okay?
What the independent thinker has to do is to start absolutely from scratch, look out into the universe, take what he sees there, and then put his own independent opinion on it without bothering about anybody else. And this is exactly what has been done by Mr. John Bradbury of Ashton-under-Lyne, who's thrown all orthodoxy out of the window and has constructed a picture of the universe that is all his own, based partly upon theory and partly upon observations made with his strictly unorthodox telescope. But Mr. Bradbury, this looks like a conventional telescope, but I gather it isn't.
No, it's far from being a conventional telescope because it isn't split up in the lenses. Most of the lenses in this telescope are at the eye end.
Down here,
the
you mean?
eyepiece end, yes. Yes, there's only one object lens at the other end.
What's the purpose of having so many lenses?
Well, you can't get the power without. You must have the power to bring the object very much closer. With a conventional telescope, you can't do that.
I would have thought that every time you passed a beam of light through an extra lens, you'd lose a bit of light.
Yes, that is so, that you do lose light. But looking at objects in the sky, you don't need to lose it.
Looking at your map of the Earth, it looks to me as if you've got the North Pole in the middle and all directions are south. Is this correct?
Yes, it is correct in that method.
What about gravity?
Sir Isaac Newton, when he was in an orchard in Lincolnshire, saw an apple fall from the tree, and he brought out his theory of gravity, that the gravity had drawn this apple to the ground. Yet he didn't make a law which held the other apples on. Now, he also said that if you could stand a needle up on its point without any support, he would believe that the world wasn't going round. Naturally, I had to bring out a new theory to prove the shape of the world, the shape of the Earth too, you see.
Which is what you've done.
Yes, that is it. And you see, no matter where we are on the Earth's surface, we will always be pulled back to the centre.
And that's why you can't go to the edge of the Earth, in fact.
Yes, you cannot go to the edge of the Earth.
Well, let's have a look at the actual diagram of the Earth itself, shall we? And this, I think, is very interesting. Here we are. Now, I know that you've got the Earth as with a flat top and kind of a round underneath. Is this correct?
Yes, that is quite so. Yes, you see, this is more like a jigsaw puzzle. You can't complete it without a flat-topped Earth.
So this is the entire universe, in fact?
Yes, you see, you've got the full metallic stony background, and this, of course, was where the flow of magnetism is.
What's this line down here?
Now, this line is for the sub-semi-vacuum. It divides the pure vacuum from the semi-vacuum which surrounds the Earth itself.
What about the Sun and Moon?
The Moon?
It's a flat disk, is it?
Not actually flat. It is slightly convex, but not much on the surface. Now, it is a disk of carbon.
The Moon's made of carbon,
Just carbon, yes. Just a carbon disk, which shows in this.
Yes.
This I saw 2 years ago on the harvest moon, September moon. And this material here is plasticine phosphorus, or a material very, very similar to that.
But where does that come from? Where does the plasticine phosphorus actually picked up?
It's circulating in the atmosphere. When the moon's waning, it allows it to go off, and when it's waxing, it picks it up again. Now, this illustration here is more of the moon itself, with a finger-like projection coming over the top. This happened in 1953, and the finger-like projection stayed on for 3 days.
There was only one there, was there?
There was only one, yes, definitely one. I built another telescope, and I used an astronomer's telescope too, to prove whether I was right or not, but I couldn't see it with the astronomer's telescope.
And was this due to the plasticine phosphorus spreading over the moon gradually?
Yes, but I think it picked a little more up than it should have done, you see. The surface of the moon, the thickness of the surface is around about 1 inch. This has been really worked out. Mathematically, it's really been worked out.
What incidentally about the sun? Do you think the sun is small also?
The sun would be, I should think, about twice the size of the moon, because it can, the moon can go in the front of the sun and cover the whole sun up. And that is why the sun really is only twice the distance from of the moon.
And of course, the sun presumably is very much hotter than the moon.
Yes, if we speak of hot as hot, but the sun actually is cold. It's
I see.
Very cold indeed, because we couldn't get a lot of heat. The sun wasn't cold, you see.
Can you define light quite shortly?
Yes, we can work onto this one.
I don't quite understand this caption down here, that all red light is green.
Well, we always knew that infrared light itself was red, but it isn't. It's actually green. We can easily prove that by plugging in electric fire. You get the green light first, and then you get the red light, which of course are interchangeable. Green being the only colour, really, it makes up all of the colours of light.
So all light is in fact green?
It is
including green itself?
Yes, including green itself, but not red.
You know, I think you're going to be the first to admit that these ideas and theories of yours are not conventional ones.
Correctly, yes.
Well, I know that you've also given lectures at various universities. I mean, I wasn't at your lecture at Cambridge University or at Keele, but I heard about from people who were. And how do you find that other people react to your ideas?
Well, some people, of course, when it's all explained thoroughly, they will accept it. But if it isn't explained thoroughly, well, of course, they think we're nutcases or something, you see.
And what do you think, what research are you going to carry out in the near future?
Well, of course, the next thing is photography.
Well, Mr. Bradbury hasn't yet started his photographic experiments, but when he does so, I'm sure that the results will be truly remarkable. Let me concede that I don't pretend to agree with his theories, but I have the greatest admiration for him as a man who's had the moral courage to break clean away from every semblance of conventionality, strike out for himself, and lecture publicly about it with no fear of ridicule or scorn. To me, Mr. Bradbury is the supreme example of the independent thinker.